All right, let's talk about transforming your outdoor space. We are going to turn that balcony or patio into a legit tropical paradise. And believe it or not, it all comes down to one incredible plant.
Seriously, just picture it. You step outside, not just onto some concrete slab, but into your own private getaway. And the secret to making that happen? It's the white bird of paradise. And look, this isn't just another potted plant. No way. This is a living piece of art. Something that's going to totally change the vibe of your whole space.
So, how are we going to make this happen? Well, first we'll get into why this plant is the ultimate centerpiece. Then we'll meet the plant itself, what makes it tick. We'll figure out how to make it thrive no matter where you live, nail down the perfect care routine, and even tackle some common problems. And of course, at the end, we'll talk about where you can get one. So, let's do this.
Okay, so let's dive right in. Why this plant? I mean, you hear it called the queen of the indoor plant world all the time, right? But honestly, I think it's even more amazing outdoors. When you put it in a container on a balcony, it finally has the room to just unfurl and be the showstopper it was born to be.
Yeah, that pretty much nails it. It is all about that bold architectural shape. Those huge, glossy leaves that look like giant paddles, they give you an instant jungle vibe. This is not some shy, retiring plant you stick in a corner. Nope. It's the main event, the focal point that screams tropical escape the second you see it.
All right, so let's get to know this beautiful beast a little better. Its official name is Strelitzia Nicolai, and knowing a bit about where it comes from is really the key to keeping it happy.
And knowing that name, Strelitzia Nicolai, is super important, so you know you're getting the right thing. And get this, in the wild, this thing can get up to 30 feet tall. Now, don't panic, it's not going to do that on your patio, but it's that built-in potential for greatness that makes it look so incredibly grand and majestic, even when it's just in a container.
So let's break down what makes it so special. You're going to see its leaves start to split as it gets older. And your first thought might be, oh no, what did I do wrong? But you didn't do anything wrong. That's a feature, not a bug. It's a super smart adaptation from its windy home that lets the wind pass right through. And yeah, the flowers are incredible, they look like these exotic birds, but honestly, for most of us growing it on a balcony, the real show is the foliage, because getting it to flower takes a long time.
So the big question, can you grow this tropical beauty, even if you live somewhere with, winter? The answer is 1,000% yes. All it takes is understanding your climate and having a simple plan for summer and winter.
And really, the strategy couldn't be simpler. If you're lucky enough to live in a warm place like Zone 10 or 11, you just leave it outside all year. For pretty much everyone else, you treat it like the ultimate summer vacationer. It lives its best life on your patio all summer, and then it comes inside to be a stunning houseplant for the winter.
But that leads to a problem. A good problem, but a problem nonetheless. It's one that every single person in a colder climate will face eventually. What on earth do you do when your gorgeous plant gets so big you literally can't get it back inside for the winter?
The answer is pruning. And I know, it can feel scary to take clippers to your beautiful plant, but trust me, it's the right thing to do. You just cut the tallest leaves right down at the base of the plant. Yeah, it'll look a little naked for a bit, but it's so much better than letting it die in the cold. And come springtime, you'll be rewarded with a burst of fresh, new growth.
Okay, let's get into the nitty-gritty, the perfect care routine. If you can nail these next few things, you're golden. This is the stuff that'll keep your plant looking absolutely spectacular.
First, and I cannot stress this enough, light. This plant is a total sun worshiper. It's got to have at a minimum 6 hours of bright, direct sun every single day. So if you've got a south or west-facing balcony, you are in business. Seriously, if you try to put this in a shady spot, you're just going to get a sad, stretched-out plant. This one is absolutely non-negotiable.
All right, next, let's talk about its home, the soil. The magic word here is well-draining. Say it with me, well-draining. These guys absolutely hate sitting in soggy soil. We call it having wet feet. So you need a mix that lets extra water escape easily. Just a regular potting mix with some perlite or cocoa fiber thrown in is a perfect recipe for a happy plant in a pot.
Okay, watering. This is probably the #1 spot where people mess up, but the rule is so simple. Just stick your finger in the soil. If the top couple of inches feel dry, then it's time to water. And when you do, give it a really good soak until you see water coming out the drainage holes. Oh, and here's a pro tip for you. Sometimes tap water has minerals that can make the leaf edges turn brown and crispy. If you can use rainwater or even just filtered water, your plant will thank you for it. And last up for routine care is the seasonal stuff. It's basically just two things: feeding and cleaning. You want to feed it with a regular fertilizer, but only in the spring and summer when it's actually growing. Then, as old leaves turn yellow and die back, just give them a clean snip at the base with some sharp clippers. Don't rip them off. That can open the door for problems. A nice, clean cut is what you want.
You know, once you get the hang of the basics, the cool part is that your plant will literally start talking to you. You just have to learn how to speak its language, and it speaks through its leaves.
So let's play detective and decode what it's trying to say. When you see leaves curling or turning yellow or getting brown spots, that's not random. That's a direct message telling you, hey, something's not quite right over here.
Okay, let's look at the most common problem of all: water stress. And there's a subtle but super important difference to look for. If the leaves are curling inward, kind of like they're trying to make a taco, that means your plant is thirsty. Easy fix. But if the leaves are drooping and curling downward, and especially if they're turning yellow, that's a huge red flag for overwatering. And that, my friends, is way more dangerous.
Because overwatering leads to the absolute #1 killer of potted plants everywhere: root rot. See, when the soil is constantly wet, the roots can't breathe. It's like they're drowning. And that soggy, airless environment is the perfect breeding ground for nasty fungus that just eats the roots away, turning them from healthy and white to just brown, stinky mush.
If you think you've got root rot, you need to act fast. It's basically emergency plant surgery. You've got to gently take it out of the pot, get all that old soil off the roots, and then, with clean clippers, you have to cut off every last bit of that brown, mushy stuff. Be ruthless about it. Any mushy root left behind will just spread the problem. Then, give the good roots a little fungicide treatment and repot it in a brand new pot with fresh, dry soil.
And that's it. That is the complete game plan. You now know everything you need to know to succeed. You know what this plant needs, you know how to care for it, and you even know how to perform life-saving surgery if you have to. There's really only one thing left to do. Go get one.
Now listen, the absolute best thing you can do for yourself is to start with a really healthy, high-quality plant. It just sets you up for success. To make it super simple, we really like the ones from Costa Farms. They're known for having great plants, and you can just order one on Amazon and have it show up right at your house. Can't beat that.
So we'll leave you with just one last thing to think about. A plant this big and this impressive, it's not just another piece of decor. It really becomes part of the family, you know? It's a presence. So the real question is, what are you going to name your new leafy giant?